This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's VOCM Open Line host Paddy Daly.
Well, good morning and welcome to Open Line. I'm Brian Callahan in for Paddy Daly today on the big show, and I don't know where to start today. I honestly don't, Dave. I have no idea where to start. Honestly don't know. There's that much going on. I actually got some sleep last night, I can say that. There was no game, so game as in Jay's game, so I actually caught up on a few hours of sleep. I'm going to need it, and we're all probably going to need it tonight. Hopefully it doesn't go into extras, but hey, we can talk all about the Jays, of course, on top of everybody's mind, but there's so much going on. It's Halloween, and if you're in the building here right now, you would know it. We are renaming, Dave, the booth today, the confessional? So if you have some things you'd like to get off your chest, Father Callahan is in the house. If you want to check out your socials, you'll know what I'm talking about. Let's see. So, I heard a funny one today, though, that somebody said Halloween tonight ends at 8 Eastern, 9:30 in Newfoundland, and we all know why that is. So if you want to pontificate, prognosticate on the Jays, of course, and what they have accomplished, to a man, it's amazing to watch what they've done. Some of us predicted they would go on a run in July and end up in first and in the World Series. But I don't know if we thought they would show so much dominance in L.A. because, going in there. But, geez, I mean, we can talk all about all the different elements. But the big one that jumps out to me as well, you hear them say it in interviews here and there, mentioning the fact that they're playing for a country. I've seen some other comments, they really believe that. That is, you could say, the secret sauce for the Jays here. There's a little bit of extra something that they all know that this is beyond just special World Series stuff. There's, it's they've caught something else in the bottle here, and it looks like they've grabbed onto it. Hopefully, the momentum is everything in baseball. So when you take 2 out of 3 of the Dodgers in L.A. and then you're on the flight home, you can just imagine how they were feeling as opposed to how the Dodgers were feeling, knowing that they're going back into what even, the most seasoned journalists, baseball, sports journalists throughout Canada and the United States will say that the Rogers Centre these days is just the loudest, most intimidating for a visiting team that you can go into. They compare it to the Phillies back in their World Series days, but boy, oh boy, if you've been there, and I was up for a game during the regular season, loud enough then when they had a walk-off game, but I can only imagine what that's going to be like tonight. So if you want to talk all about that, any aspect of it, the only thing, I guess, to fly in the ointment tonight would be the Yamamoto. If they've gotten to every other ace on every other pitching staff along the way to get to where they are right now, and he seems to be the only one that's been able to stifle the bats significantly, and like people talk and say he looks like a cyborg out there. I mean, he just hits the spots. The catcher Will Smith puts the glove down, and it's there. So you can only imagine. If he's on tonight, it's going to be a test. But you know what? After everything else they've overcome, I can see him doing it. And I think they're going to wrap it up tonight, and that's just me. And, of course, the old clocks go back this weekend. The only way I could ever remember it was spring forward, fall back. And until then, even when I say it out loud, sometimes I forget and think and have to stop and think, what am I doing with that? And then on top of that, we have Melissa going to throw a wrench into things. Hopefully not tonight. By all accounts, so far the forecasts, and you can never gauge this down to the minute, but if you look at some of the forecasts, they're saying, if you get out and on the go early, which most people do. I don't see a lot going on after 8 or 9 o'clock these days in Halloween compared to when we were growing up. I mean, it'd still be out 10, 11:30, trying to get that last candy apple up the road or somewhere. And the new maps they have out, with the streets that got the best decorations or even now the best treats. Wish we had that back in the day. Because you'd guess from year to year that one house had something. You get there, they don't have it. And that's how seriously we took Halloween back in the day. So there's all of those things. We can talk about the weather. It's updated, consistently. You can check out the VOCM website, and in our newscast, we'll be talking regularly to Environment Canada today because weather is everything. In news, there's one thing we need, you always want to know about the weather no matter what. That's why you hear so many updates throughout because it affects so many people. Stuff going on, such as Halloween. and everything else this weekend. But of course, there's so much more on the go. We talk about, and this one jumped right out at me this week, we talk about the climate change and different aspects of it, and the drought conditions this summer. It's coming home to roost in a lot of places. And now, like pulp and paper, like the Cornerbrook Pulp and Paper Mill needed any more kicks to the gut or punches to the gut. It doesn't, bad pun, but it doesn't rain, but it pours for the mill. Now they've got to shut her down for a while because the water levels are so low. And they can't do the business without it. So they're looking at inventory, and they're hoping, and other people are going to do other work. So hopefully this won't be too long in a process. But boys, oh boys, bring on the rain this weekend. I hate to say it. For them, for the mill, and for the future out there of the mill. It's just so many things, so many hurdles facing that business these days, that business model. But we know they're working hard at it, and they're putting on the bravest face, as they've always done every year and every time. There's some bad news down the pipe for the mill, but hopefully now they can overcome this latest one. Hopefully we can all overcome this latest one. And, of course, new government sworn in this week. So we can talk all about the new government, the Tory, Tony Wakeham conservative, progressive conservative government that was sworn in this week. We can talk about the size of the cabinet. We can talk about the workload for the ministers. We can talk about all those things that have come out so far. And we can also talk about the MOU. And, of course, we all know that that's been the contentious issue. It was contentious from the moment that the Liberals said this was going to be their key plank in their platform for the election. And look where that got them. So there seemed to be a lot of hand-wringing over whether or not that was the right decision. Either way, one of the key issues of that, of course, during the election and just before the election was when Michael Wilson, member of the panel that was appointed, had resigned. And that happened back in May, yet we never heard a word about it until August. Now, why was that? I'll leave that for you and the callers to decide. I remember asking former Premier Hogan at the time why it took so long for them to announce it. He said they did announce the replacement, but no, they didn't. That was a little bit cute by half because they announced a new appointment, but they never made any mention of that new appointment, of Mr. Wilson's departure in that new appointment. No mention of his name, no mention that he was even on it, and no mention that he was gone. So I would argue it wasn't exactly transparent and accountable, but then again, that's what the Tories now have said they are building their government on, and we look forward to that. More transparency, more accountability. I don't know where we can go wrong with that. And let's see. So the Wilson, and of course, Mr. Wilson has joined Paddy here exclusively on the program to talk a little bit about his reasons for resigning. There's still an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, in place, which Mr. Wakeham has said that he will release Mr. Wilson from, so he can just basically speak to all aspects of what he encountered and felt about his time on that independent panel and whether or not it was so independent. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons that he has said in the letter. It's all there online and elsewhere. Don't take up too much time because we have callers already, and I want to get them right on the air. I just wanted to touch on a few of those things right off the bat. Let's see, and the politics being one of them. Everything else being the Jays being, let's see, Halloween. Again, I'm in a bit of a spin, of course. It's always, I find it fascinating to fill in for Paddy on this show, but I also, where I'm usually probably, inundated with court and other things, as a, reporter covering everything throughout the day, you don't always catch your eye on all things. So if I've misspeak or miss something that you're interested in, as Paddy always says, just because I don't mention it doesn't mean it can't be talked about here on the show. That's the idea. And, of course, more than anything, I know we take emails, but this is a call-in show, so when I host, and I hate to dive into the threads of emails that Paddy's already probably got going, so, the numbers are the king. 709-273-5211, long distance 1-888-590 VOCM 8626, just to throw that out there. Let's see, Dave, I see we got some calls. What do you want to do? Do you want to? I'll just a couple of quick things and then we'll get to it. First of all, I'm more than open to talking about and we'll come back to the city of St. John's for a minute, the massive development that finally step one was taken toward this week at Ballyhaley, the former Ballyhaley Golf Course. There's a ton of issues that go on there. That would be a game changer, a landscape changer for the capital city. You're talking about 1,250 homes of all kinds, from apartments to single homes to duplexes to fancy shacks to recreation, walking trails, all that sort of thing. It'll be its own little community. It'll probably even have a nickname. I mean, you have the different ones in town. You got Rabbit Town, you got Pleasantville, you got Shea Heights, and all these different boroughs of the city, and all these different neighborhoods, Cowan Heights, and all that sort of thing. So, maybe it'd be Bally Heights or Ballyhaley Heights or something as a tribute to keeping the old name on the place. Although, of course, that is the new name of the golf course where they moved up to Clovelly, so who knows? Throw it out there. Lots of elements to go on. It's very early stages for that. A lot of consideration of where it's going to go, and I see that the developers, KMK, are being completely open, and there's going to be a lot of public consultation. Everyone will have a say as to what should go there and how it should be done and how it should be gone about, but that's a big deal for the city of St. John's. And I just a few other things quickly. Masking is returning to the healthcare facilities in the province. I know you've heard about that. We can talk about that. Gaza, I have to mention it because just because it's not headlines, the humanitarian crisis and everything that's going on there, the absolute destruction of that strip of land and the alleged rebuilding of it. But it's not exactly still any peaceful resolution there yet. The Israelis went in and bombed more this week. And I know the President of the United States and other leaders were over in the Asia summits and that sort of thing. But, something's going to have to happen. Something's going to have to give there. Because when you come out and say you have a deal and they're bombing again, it just seems one step forward, two steps back. And let's see. Other than that, I just want to touch on one other. I want to say a shout out and my sincerest sympathies to the family of Bill Meehan. Bill Meehan's a great friend. I've known Bill for 35, 40 years. Passed away suddenly last week. If you know Bill, you know him. I bought my first car off Bill. He was a giant in the car sales industry. He over at Gata Ford on Elizabeth Avenue. Sold me my first car, and from then we became friends at Big Ben's over in Churchill Square and the Elks Club. And what a guy. I could go on. There's a busy show, but I wanted to make sure I said that today. And to Bill's family, who I managed to have a good chat with last night at Calls. Sorry I couldn't be there today for the funeral, but I'm there in heart and soul. I can guarantee that. So rest easy, Bill. I can't imagine. It's going to be really, really strange not to see your smiling face around. All right, we are on Open Line on the radio, and there is an email, openline@vocm.com. I'll try to get a peek in at it if I can. But anyway, let's take that break, Dave, real quick and get back to the calls. Brian Callahan in for Paddy Daly on Halloween. Boo! We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Just get her started now on line 3. And Darryl, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Brian. How you doing today?
I'm all right, Darryl. How are you on this lovely Halloween?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful good. I can't complain. No one listens anyhow.
Well, no, I'm listening, and we're all listening.
You're listening. There you go.
So is the whole province, Darryl. One question: have you got a costume?
Not yet. Maybe later today. Who knows?
Well, okay. So if you don't got one by today, but if you were going to, I'm going to ask everybody this: who would you go as? First off, top of your head.
Boy, that's a good question. I probably, I don't know. That's a good question.
Anyone. Name anyone. Tony Wakeham.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Tony Wakeham.
Okay. I'll see you at the doorstep later on. Anyway, enough of that. Go ahead with your topic there, Darryl. Sorry if I get you off track.
No. That's fine. Well, I want to talk about today. I come across this is a nonprofit organization, and what they do, they promote health, like being like proactive, and in a way like they do podcasts and all that to promote health, in which there will be less of a strain on the healthcare system. As you know, most people we go because we're sick.
If we were more proactive, if we'd been more proactive 40, 50 years ago, Tony or Darryl, we'd be in a lot better shape. But go ahead. Yep.
Yes, for sure.
Literally.
Right? And so I come across it. A nonprofit organization consists of doctors, like medical doctors, could be pharmacists, naturopathic doctors, whoever want to come on board and contribute to different podcasts, how we could be more healthier, and the list goes on and on. But I'll give you the website is illumina.health, and it goes ILLUMI.health. And And when you go on, you'll see there. And I came across it, and I found it very, very intriguing. And what I was going to suggest that maybe the new Minister of Health, or and will align with the Health Accord, maybe they should be getting input from these people, or go on these sites and get educated from these people how things could be done for the better. Because as of right now, our healthcare is on the brink of balance pretty well coming out of it. So I think this is what we got to start doing, and so that way we'll alleviate the strain that's on the healthcare system. This is probably one of numerous ways that we could take a look at. We could look at models, how they do it in Germany, Sweden, Norway, and all that as well. But I encourage the Minister of Health, the new Minister of Health, to go to this site and take a look at it and implement this into our healthcare system. I mean, what have we got to lose?
Well, the good news is it's a Canadian-based app. I can tell you that. I know like I said, I'm trying to play catch-up on a lot of this kind of stuff and see, the first thing I would do, I mean, it's great. Look, any kind of resource that contributes to better knowledge about how we can look after ourselves, and it's never too late. I mean, my dad had some health issues late in his life, and it was a wake-up call for all of the boys in the family, to start really getting regular prostate exams. I mean, you never would have even thought about it. It just wasn't, until you have it, until you really have to deal with it, you don't think about these things. Preventative medicine, preventative health things, any kind of thing, whether it's, exercise or getting your 5 to 6 glasses of water in you in a day, which is important for all of us. But how many people actually go out of their way to drink a half a liter of water a day? Probably not.
Well, Brian, I do wish your father well. And talking about this prostate thing now, this has been on my mind for a while too. Under the cancer guidelines now, a doctor do not have to check your prostate. And because under the guidelines, and now a doctor could still do it check it off under blood work, but under the guidelines now, under the Cancer Society, they don't have to, if they go by the guidelines, you do not have to check your prostate. And what people don't realize with the prostate is that time you got symptoms is too late, because of his cancer, whatever, starts from the outside and works his way in. Because I know of cases people had the prostate checked and they had cancer and they didn't know it.
But Daryl, you talk. But let me just say this, and I don't mean to interrupt. But before I forget, you talk about the doctor's guidelines. Again, that's counterintuitive to what we're talking about here, being preventative, proactive. Like, it's up to you to say. Yeah. Should I have a concern? Can I get it looked into? And, with the new core care that's coming online, supposed to come online in April with the health authority, there will be a lot more access to being able to see exactly, and all the workups and that sort of thing, and the requests that have gone into your doctor in real time and all that sort of thing. We're told that's going to be now. I mean, there's all kinds of issues. Of course, we've heard about training and that sort of thing, but that's still due to come out, and that'll go a long way toward that. But again, when you say the doctor's guidelines, I'm not leaving it up to my doctor. I mean, the doctors, we all know, are busy enough. They have more than one patient, and in some cases these days, virtually, you could have 100 patients, and to expect him to go to every single one of his patients who might be in that 40 to 60 window, that they should get at least an initial biopsy or an initial colonoscopy or something, just to get their check. I mean, you're asking a lot. It's on us, right? It's really going to be throwing a lot back onto the individual in our society to, have an advocate if you're not in the best of health, or to at least look out for yourself and make sure that you're being looked after. Don't leave it to the healthcare authorities, because, no offense, but their role is going to change, and we're going to have more on our own.
Yeah, I got to correct you on that one. It's not the doctor's guidelines; it's the guidelines of the Cancer Society.
Yeah, and no, I'm not. You don't need to correct. No,
doctors,
but no need to correct me. You're the one who said doctor's guidelines, not me.
No, I meant to say the Cancer Society guidelines. Like
oh, sure.
You don't have. What I'm saying, they don't have. If they go by their guidelines, they do not have to check the prostate until you're having issues. So I stand to be corrected on that one. I meant the Cancer Society guidelines, not the doctor's guidelines.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I would still say, though, that guidelines are guidelines. It's up to us. You can't. If you're going looking at a website to see when you should go get checked, then you're already late.
Yeah, but no, my whole point is if they had to go by the guidelines, they could say, no, we don't have to check it until you have issues. That's my whole point. And my point I'm making here
Fair enough.
is that what it should be is like now the women, I think 40 and over, get checked automatically for breast cancer. What I'm saying, to enhance it for the better, that the Newfoundland Labrador government should put a policy in for the man's prostate as well, like even just through blood work or whatever. It just reinforces things for the better. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I 100% agree. We're on the same page here. It's just, we know the limitations, and you've got to be your own advocate these days. You may very well land the best doctor who is calling you and following up with everything if you can get your own family doctor or physician. But beyond that, you got to watch out for the signs yourself, and all the guidelines in the world. You know your body better than any guidelines or website, and you know when things are going different or something's changed, or your family history, that maybe a new doctor that you were just maybe your former doctor retired or moved or whatever. They're not good. They might see paper, but they might not necessarily have a good feel for your medical history, and what you might be exposed to or might be vulnerable against, like in my case. And just for clarification, my dad passed away at 91. Lived a great full.
Sorry to hear that.
No, that's great full life. But that prostate cancer, the cancer issue, was discovered in his 70s. So he had 20 more years after that because the whip was cracked, so to speak. He got his care at that age, and then we were all whipped into shape in our 40s and 50s to start getting checked. And I think that can only bode well for us, and it could be a good example for other families. But that's just our experience.
No, and the Medicare I got where I'm to my family doctor and all that, I couldn't ask for any better. They're A1, and I'm thankful for that, right? I can't. It's all good that way. But like what I'm just saying, this should be a reinforcement there, like the breast cancer, that there should be a guideline there, and the Cancer Society. Even one time they used to check, say, someone with diabetes. Even that's gone now. So they're the same when you get symptoms. If you got symptoms, then you get checked. But sometimes after when you get the symptoms, what I'm saying, it could be too late. Because I know 3 or 4 cases where they got checked and didn't know they had cancer until he just did a check and didn't even realize it and caught it in time. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the health minister should look at that, put this into force as well for, like, the woman with breast cancer or breast testing. I'm 100% for all that, but for the man is the prostate, and just put an extra layer there of guidelines there. Say, okay, automatically save is once a year or whatever. That that prostate should be checked just for being proactive and staying healthy. Because by being proactive, is not only that keep people more healthier and save lives. There's also less of a strain on the healthcare system. So I encourage Newfoundland Labrador government or yourself or the people, go to illumi.health. Very, very, and it's Canadian based. I think they're out of Toronto, if I'm not mistaken.
BC, I believe.
And pardon me.
BC, I believe.
Oh yes. You're right. It is BC. There, I was looking at something else from Toronto. No, you're right. It is BC. So I encourage the Minister of Health, if they're listening, which they usually do, is that let's explore all these options for the better.
Sure. We can't look more options to better. Resources will always be what they are, and we know staffing resources. It's sometimes, just put it this way, there's just not enough resources to test everybody who may be vulnerable for prostate cancer. So, even the resources have to pick their battles. And it will become that way. The more risk, the more you should be in the queue. I mean, that just makes total sense. But the quicker you can catch it, there's no question. It's very, very common sense. It's just changing habits. Darryl, got to get off to the break. Anything else you want to clue up with?
No. I'll just I got some other issues with the Upper Church, so I'll save that one for another day. There, probably next week. But I encourage people or the government, the Minister of Health, illumi.health.
Got it. And just enough time for you now to run out and grab your Tony Wakeham costume. So good luck with that.
There you go. Yes, I need lots of luck with that one.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be, bantering around the MOU. It'll give you more cred.
Yeah, more flexibility.
And more flexibility. More options. Thanks, Darryl.
All right, thanks, Brian, and all the best to you and staff at VOCM and your listening audience. Have a great finish to your day.
You too. Thank you. All right, Dave, let's take that break. Right back after the break. And welcome back to this Halloween edition of Open Line. Brian Callahan, Father Brian Callahan, in for Paddy Daly today. Let's go right to line 2. And Pam Parsons, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. Did I just hear you say Father Brian Callahan?
Yeah,
So I think that you're going as a priest.
I'm not going. I am. I'm gone. You can check out our socials, Pam. Maybe while we're talking to see what Greg Smith just posted, but on our VOCM Twitter account,
I will do.
just to get an idea of what you're talking to here this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Good morning to you, of course, and all your listeners. I wanted to call in, of course. Last night I attended the Royal Canadian District 2. It's the actual launch of the Poppy campaign. And they hosted down at Carbonear in Branch 23. And, of course, that encompasses all the Legion branches here in my region. Mm-hmm. Certainly all the Legions from Harbour Grace, Portagrave District were represented there, as well as the Legions obviously outside in Carbonear and up in Brigus. And it was really great to see people, and it was a lovely turnout. And I would just like to thank them. It was a lovely service. And it's very important because, as we know, it's these men and women, the Legionnaires, who ultimately take the lead in doing what they can to protect and to ultimately support veterans. So it was great to be there, and I thank them for that.
You better
and of course, I encourage each and everybody. So that Poppy campaign kicks off. I think it's the 1st officially. But you know what? Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are really good at supporting this initiative each and every year. I think we take a lot of pride in our history, our war history, our military history. Obviously, we have some great heritage that goes way back, and I Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are very proud of that. So hats off to everyone, and let's have a great, successful Poppy campaign. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Recreation Committee, Debbie Shepherd in Spaniards Bay, who leads the Rec Committee in Spaniards Bay, as well as the Haunted House Committee. It's become an amazing event. They had, I think, it's multiple haunted houses they put on each and every year.
I've heard about this. I'm going to give you a minute now to just try to do your best to describe it.
Well, I'm telling you, I love Halloween. I love the season. I love the genre itself. And I stopped in there last night after I came up from the Poppy campaign. It was their last night. And some of those characters, they have all the classics like the Jason, the Michael Myers, the Pennywise clown. And creepy, these creepy characters that they have created, but it's all very, very real and very professional looking. And they got a couple of good scares out of me, I must say. And but again, I love it and I enjoy it, and I know they have a lot of fun doing it. So hats off to all those volunteers. It's certainly in the town of Spaniards Bay. There's counselors on there. I know Debbie Newman, Councillor Newman. She also does she's passionate about this as well, and everybody who's involved. So hats off to that. They draw huge crowds. People come from all over Conception Bay North to come to this, and it's amazing. Congratulations to them.
You know as well as I do, growing up, the elaborate nature, how it's changed since we were growing up. I mean, there were some good costumes, but wow, today it's just taken another level. There's some great houses like the Winter Home here in St. John's. That one out there. There's some ones around that there's just too many to get into. And I just want to go back to the Poppy campaign for a minute. I know it's a small thing. The work they do is incredible, and I feel like such a small person for complaining about the Poppy that I can't never keep in my jacket or my lapel. I've had the clip, I've had the sticker, I've had the fastener, I've had everything. It doesn't matter. The seatbelt takes it all off, right? And so just remember,
you're right. I'm with you. I mean, I've often been stabbed by those poppies myself. Like as you said, the seatbelt. But they certainly do a great job. And I mean, it's more opportunities to buy another poppy. To support them and to keep buying those poppies.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the good news is buy 4 or 5 and keep them as backups and contribute for every single one of them to contribute to the campaign. Pam, let me ask you, how's life on the other side?
Well, we're still waiting to be sworn in.
It's early.
We're not actually sworn in yet as MHAs.
Yeah.
But that said, And again, I did call in to thank my constituents here in the district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. We had an amazing voter turnout in the advance poll as well as election. The voter turnout was pretty good here, very, very strong here in Harbour Grace, Portagrave. So again, thank you to my constituents. Again, this is my fourth general. But as you mentioned, it's a different role now going in. It will be my first time serving in opposition. Mm-hmm. So, and on that note too, it's very interesting. I will say I am concerned to see the cabinet portfolios that we've seen just the other day at the cabinet swearing in. As you know, I'm a former minister for women and gender equality, and I'm very disappointed to see that standalone portfolio has now been absorbed into a larger portfolio, justice and public safety. And if I'm not mistaken, I think fire and emergency services is also lumped in with that same portfolio. And again, I congratulate my colleague Helen Collin Ottenheimer. She's my neighboring MHA. Certainly, she's a great member, and I congratulate her on that. And again, and this is not about her credentials or her credibility, but my concern for many of these members, how they're literally double and tripled up on these portfolios. For example, health. I mean, this is a leader. And I congratulate the new Premier, Tony Wakeham, campaigned on fixing health care. And I mean, there were a list of promises. And to give a health minister, as we know, Brian, health is most of the budget, as my colleague Lisa Dempster said yesterday online, most of our budget goes to healthcare, health and community services. I know what I heard on the campaign trail, and long before the campaign trail, about the concerns and the wait times, and even your listener prior to my call. I heard he made some good points, valid points. But to give a health minister two other significant portfolios, such as in reconciliation and Indigenous affairs and reconciliation, as well as Labrador affairs, as well as health and community services, I don't know. I'm extremely concerned about that. And again, the same thing with women, gender equality. I mean, I know it was a standalone committee when we had that originally started as a standalone with Premier Dwight Ball. And then Premier Andrew Furey expanded the mandate from status of women to women and gender equality, which involved, of course, members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. Missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is also under that. And, of course, the many equity and equality seeking stakeholders in this province, ultimately to combat gender-based violence. We know gender-based violence is a crisis. It's an epidemic. We've said that on record here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We know it's happening across the country, perhaps even across the North America, what we're seeing. And I just hope it gets the attention and the resources and the time that it needs to do it justice, because there is a lot of work to be done.
No, there absolutely is. And again, as I mentioned, I was in a scrum yesterday. God, the days. It might have been Wednesday. With the former Premier Hogan came out to do his opposition thing, and asked him the same question. He was criticizing that 1 hour or 2 hours after the government was sworn in and the cabinet was announced. I mean, we know this is our usual thing. I mean, first, the new government comes in, the cabinet is always leaner to show that, they're going to be lean and clean and mean, and they're going to clean things up and try to make it more efficient and tight. I mean, this happens to I think you can look back historically and see it every time. So, as I said to the former Premier, is it a little early to be, raising alarm bells? I mean, no, it's not in the title of it. And I agree, health, the word health should be front and center in a portfolio for a government department. But it doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, what matters is when the rubber hits the ground and what they do with it. As you said, you hope they do give it the attention. And so far, it's been about 2 days. I think it's a little early to say whether that they will or won't. If they don't, the proof will be in the pudding, and we can have at it. But other than that, it seems like low-hanging fruit at this point. I mean, you got to go after that, because really, so far, there's nothing else.
Well, you say leaner and meaner, or rather for this cabinet. So I think it's by 2 cabinet seats. But again, with the way people are doubled and tripled up, it will likely be that cabinet may be extended. I don't know that if the cost savings, the mere cost savings that will be saved by the 2 cabinet seats, maybe they're saving up because of those 4 new ferries that Premier Tony Wakeham promised that he's going to build here in Newfoundland and Labrador, or to go toward a referendum. As we know, he has promised a referendum. He has said he would take the MOU to a referendum to give Newfoundlanders and Labradorians their say. He made that very crystal clear about this MOU. As we know, we don't know what's going to happen with that MOU at this point. Disappointing to see the letter released by Michael Wilson. There's not much not much,
Disappointed to see the release of it?
Well, not disappointed. No, absolutely. To release it, absolutely. But to see that there's really nothing in that letter that's big and scary. I guess that was led up to be.
Well, then why didn't the Liberals? Why didn't the Liberals release it?
Well, I tell you, I want to know more about the MOU as
No,
well.
but I'm wondering
about the escalating clause.
Yeah, but I want to go back. Why didn't the Liberals release it if there's nothing scary in it?
Well, I guess that would be a better, question for our leader per se, because I'm, wasn't on that file per se. But
okay.
But disappointing again to be back on that, because there's really not much in that letter. And again, I've heard, I would question Mr. Wilson. I mean, how many meetings did he actually attend while he was on the panel? But again, someone who was on that panel maybe come out and shed some light on that. But again, about the MOU, we're going to be interested to see what's going to happen. I think the Premier said yesterday he's going to go to an independent review. So, but time is ticking on this, as we know.
Yep.
$250 billion to come to Newfoundland and Labrador that we've never seen before, is at stake.
There is
an escalating clause.
Yep.
What the 69 deal did not have the escalating clause in there. But again, more information I'm sure we'll hear in the coming days.
Yep.
I know that we're supposed to be in the House of Assembly now according to the parliamentary calendar.
Yep.
So I'd call on the Premier to reconsider these cabinet cuts that he's done, to give these cabinet portfolios the resources and the attention that they're going to need. And let's get back in the House of Assembly and let's get at it, because we're certainly eager. There's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot to talk about, as you know, Brian.
Yeah, Pam, 100% with you, especially on the promises that you mentioned. Like, there is a lot to that, and it remains to be seen how they can manage that with the fiscal situation that we have, and without the MOU and the money that would flow from that. So I'm with you 100%. Time will tell. Proof will be in the pudding. It's very early days, but they have a lot on their plate, and so do you. So I wish you nothing but well in the next session, and thanks for the call. And do you got a costume tonight? What's your costume?
I've got a few, actually, costumes, but I'm going to keep it a little secret because I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But I look forward to receiving the trick-or-treaters. But again, congratulations to the new government and, of course, everybody who was sworn in as cabinet. We look forward to getting together. And ultimately, we're all in this for the better good of everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador. So, let's get at it. There's a lot of great work to be done. So I look forward to that. And I look forward to speaking with you again, Brian.
1,000%. Thanks, Pam. It's great to always hear you.
Okay, take good care.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, right on time for the break there, Dave. Let's take that break and back with, let's see. We have calls in the queue. Let's just talk about that when we come back. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to line 1. And Lisa Lovelace-Hodder, you're on the line.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm calling about a bit of an emotional subject, but I also feel like it's an important subject. So
absolutely.
I'm Jake Anstey's mom, and Jake passed away on November 2nd, 2024. Some people may know the story. He had a cardiac arrest on January the 8th of that year, and then passed away about 10 months later. But we're coming up on the 1-year mark of our family and Jake's friends losing this beautiful little boy. So first I'll tell you a little bit about Jake, okay?
Please do. Go right ahead.
He loved to make people smile. He loved to make people laugh and surprise them, even scare them, which is very fitting given that today is Halloween. So nothing unusual to find Jake hiding around a corner with a Nerf gun to surprise you, a snowball, a water gun, or even some mornings to put your foot in your shoe, your foot in your shoe or your boot, and find a filled water balloon. So he was a lot of fun and
so
brought
good
a lot
to hear.
of light.
Yeah, it's so good to hear you laugh. I know him as Jake the Jedi. That's when I first saw it. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
I'm so glad you just said that, because what we want to do in memory of our son and friend, Jake, is to create an annual event called Jake's Fourth Day. So I called last Friday and said a little bit about this, but I'll just repeat that. Jake loves Star Wars, and in Star Wars, there's a belief that when you pass away, you don't actually leave. You become one with the Force. So that's why we decided to name this Jake's Force Day. So what we're asking our community to do is to do random acts of kindness in Jake's name. And I mean, as his mom, I have been asking people to actually say his name when they do it. Say, this is for Jedi Jake, or in memory of Jake, that kind of thing. And I mean, I'm sure you know yourself, like a smile from a stranger, what a difference that can make when you're having a rough day. And having your coffee paid for you when you're in line up at Tim Hortons, that always brings a smile to my face. So we want to believe that every small act of kindness will make a difference and keep Jake's light shining. Back in January, when he had his cardiac arrest, our community all over the world actually banded together and created what they called Light It Up for Jake, where people turned on their lights and kept their Christmas lights on or created other lights, and that went on well into the end of 2024. People still had their Christmas trees up in memory of Jake. So we're just trying to keep that community spirit of we're all in this together. And November 2nd is the worst day of this family's lives and Jake's friends' lives. But we just want it to not just be about us losing Jake. We want it to also be about who Jake was.
Lisa, I know, I don't, let me rephrase that. I don't know because I have never gone through what you're going through. But what I do know is that everything, and I live my life by this, and it's amazing how it comes around, but everything happens for a reason, if there's any consolation in those sorts of things. And what you're doing, how you've taken this just unimaginable grief and turned it around in less than a year, and the anniversary's coming up. We know that can only bring up all the grief that went with last year. But the causes that you're putting forward here in Jake's memory, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. We all know in our day-to-day lives, I don't need to tell you, I'm sure since all this happened with your family, you look around, you see people going about their lives, and it's like, how can they do that when I'm going through this? Or I understand they don't know what I'm going through, but how can they be so mean and just careless and not care and not do this and not do that? Making this all about kindness and paying it forward and just doing a nice thing. Whether it's, we can all relate to the Tim Hortons drive-through lineup, and you get up there and it's like someone just paid for it. Don't let it just be a 10-second, oh, wow, that was nice. Take it with you when you drive away,
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, go off on that, but I can only imagine. It's emotional enough just thinking about it for you,
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I mean, everyone who knew Jake knows what the world lost on that day. I mean, even after his cardiac arrest left him nonverbal and in a wheelchair and fed through a feeding tube, he was still Jake. He still got all of his jokes. His shows, his smiles. He showed through his rehab with the Janeway rehab team that he could still read words and spell words, and so he was still him. And his friends showed up for him in an enormous way. And I can't end this call without also mentioning that Jake's big brother, Noah, was his person who just filled up his life. And that hasn't changed, right?
Yeah, I don't know where you get the strength. Some people aren't built for this. We know that people can go through tough times and just not have a lot of trouble. I know you have great support around you. Like you said, Jake's brother and everything else. Can you just give me the way people can share what they're doing? I think you've got a couple of hashtags. Like, is it hashtag Jake's Force Day, and what's the other one? Team Jake Forever, is that right?
That's right, yes. So I do have a Facebook group, and it's open to the public. I know not everyone uses social media, but if you did want to, the event is called Jake's Force Day, and we've asked people to use the hashtags you just mentioned, Team Jake Forever and takes 4 stay.
Lisa, it takes so much strength. Just like you mentioned, you called last week. Call whenever you want or feel a need or share anything that you want. It's... Again, there's a lot going on in the world, and I think people need to stop and take stock of where they are and appreciate what you have, because you never know what tomorrow brings, right?
Yeah, this life is, my favorite word, actually, I'll share it with you, is brutiful. It's a combination of brutal and beautiful, which is exactly what we're trying to make November 2nd. This Sunday takes 4 days.
Yeah, 1 full year as of November 2nd. Well, if you keep this kind of effort going forward, there will never be someone without a knowledge of Jake the Jedi and the light that he shared. So, look, I wish you nothing, you and your family, nothing but the best. And go, Jake.
Yes, go Team Jake.
Go Team Jake.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Lisa. Good luck. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, Dave. Wow, where do you go with that? Do we want to take that break a little early? You're probably not ready out in the newsroom yet. Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's just take Joan. Let's take Joan on line 5 there. We got a couple of minutes before the news. Joan, you want to promote a clothing drive there? We can never have enough of that.
Yes, how are you doing today?
All right, thank you.
Good. St. Teresa's Parish.
There you go.
The St. Vincent de Paul Association.
Right.
They are holding a socks, gloves, hats and scarves for men drive this weekend, but you can drop it off even next week. They have lots of them items for ladies and children, but they're always short for men.
Yeah, that's because men don't shop.
Anything you can drop off.
That's because men don't shop.
Greatly appreciated. What?
That's because men don't shop.
Yeah, that's right.
We got nothing. You look in a closet for a man compared to a closet for a woman. Just rags and tatters. Good for Halloween.
Yeah.
You can throw something on. But no, that's a great idea. It's just interesting that you got lots for women and children, but not enough for men.
Yeah,
we
they
need
never
more.
have enough for the men, right?
Yeah, need
and
more clothes on the men.
Yeah, just asking people to remember their food bank, because especially this time of the year coming up, before it'll be Christmas.
Tell me again when the drive is, the clothing drive, and I guess people could just take, a non-perishable item with them, right?
Oh, definitely.
Or more.
It's on now. I was going to do this on Monday. I just forgot about it.
That's all right.
But you can drop off at the church or the office today, and
on Monday Pond Road.
Yeah, Money Pond. Even next week, they can always come in handy.
Great. Yeah, because it's coming. Winter is coming, and
for sure.
And so and we know, we all know the struggles with food banks, but clothing drives too. These don't go astray, and to be able to just go over and pick through stuff and see if you can find something nice there's lots. Listen, half of my wardrobe is Goodwill, because just because it's easier.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, Joan, thanks a lot for that. So clothing drive ongoing, St. Teresa's, Monday Pond Road, and you can even bring some perishable items along with you.
Yeah, and mostly it's for the socks, gloves, and hats for the men.
Perfect. You got it.
Thank you very much.
They heard it. You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, let's take that break to the news. Dave, we'll be right back after the news. Welcome back to the program. Brian Callahan in for Paddy Daly on this Friday, a Halloween edition. Let's go to line 4. And Cynthia, you are on the air.
Hi, Brian. Happy Halloween to you and your listeners today.
Right back at you, Cynthia. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Calling with the great initiative. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yes. No, we're so excited.
Yeah.
We're opening our doors at Lane's today from 4 o'clock to 5:30 for all the trick-or-treaters to drop by and come in. Our residents are so excited. They're looking forward to seeing all the kids in costume. So every year we do this, and it's just a blast.
I can only imagine. I've been there, seen that before, and of course, look, the kids show up in the regalia and all the outfits and everything for the seniors. I mean, it doesn't get any more moments than that. So Lane's is, just give me the wheres and the whens. So it's late this afternoon, and just for people who don't know exactly, where you are.
Okay, Lanes Retirement Living is on 134 Airport Heights Road. A lot of the community within Airport Heights do bring their children along, but they just wanted the public to know that we are open from 4 to 5:30 because we have supper after that. So we want as many little trick-or-treaters to come in as possible in that time frame, because this afternoon our residents are also doing a fashion show. So it's going to be quite a treat from the day. We have a Halloween fashion show. We have Ron Colley kids.
Can you live stream that?
I would love to. Who knows? Anything could happen. But no, we have Ron Colley kids, about 418 kids walking around the building also today. So we're really looking forward to it. The place is pumped.
It's going to be on wheels.
It is already on wheels.
And I'll bet it is. And we're talking, I'll bet the prep beforehand is probably even more than what's going on later on today. And, it's indoors. There's a little bit of iffiness with the weather today and later on this evening. And we know that as of 8 Eastern, Halloween ends, of course, because the Jays game comes on at 9:30 Newfoundland time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and a lot of our residents watch the Jays games, too. So this is why we're getting it out early.
I don't want to even jinx it, but those winds better not get too high. I tell you, if there was ever... Newfoundland Power are probably the most... Newfoundland Power and Newfoundland Hydro are probably the most nervous today, I would say.
I would imagine.
No trips on the line tonight, please. No testing, if they don't mind. Just going to throw that out there while I got it. Cynthia, it sounds like great fun. I hope you get lots of video and photos and share the big jumpings out of them to let us all see.
Certainly
because
we will.
The fashion show alone. Now, when you say fashion show, you mean obviously a Halloween fashion show.
A Halloween fashion show, and our residents and our staff are dressed up. And the costumes I see as I came in this morning is absolutely stunning. So I can't wait to share this with the public, because you know what? Just to have residents and staff do this together, look, it puts us right on the map here in St. John's as a seniors' home. It's amazing.
That's going to be worth the cash. I wish I've got that much going on later on this afternoon. I mean, that would be worth the cash just to drop in, and even if you're not in costume, just to watch. Just to sit back and the antics. That's going to be great. It's such a great distraction, from so many other things that we're dealing with, that society is dealing with, the government stuff and everything. It's all important, but, we need these breaks and these, little from reality, if you will, to keep us all grounded and freak out and get a little bit crazy and silly sometimes.
Well, Brian, like they say, laughter is the best medicine for anybody, whether you're 5 or 95.
You got that right. Absolutely. Cynthia, I appreciate the call. Lanes Retirement Home is the place to be 4 to 5:30 this afternoon up in Airport Heights.
Absolutely.
I wish you nothing but the best. She's going to be on wheels. I hope you can...
and
who's cleaning up?
We can... Well, it looks like we're all going to have to chip in and clean up.
And do you have what?
Listen, thanks so much.
No problem. Do you have a costume yourself? I'm asking everybody.
Oh, yes. I'm going to be a big bird.
Ah! Wicked. Okay. I'm going as a snuffleupagus later.
Oh, well, that's perfect, Brian. Well, listen, you have fun, and hopefully everyone is safe tonight.
Unfortunately, that means you might not see me, but that's another story. And the same to you, Cynthia. Thanks for the call.
Okay, love. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Dave, what do you want to do? A quick break, and then back with Steve Thorne of the Transfer Radon program right after this. And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 1. Stephen Thorne with the Transfer Radon program. You're on the air.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, Stephen. So yes, this I've familiar, of course, with this issue, but you're really holding the government's feet to the fire in right off the bat, aren't you, as well? With well, why don't you just tell us what the transfer rate on? Just remind people. I always assume people are hearing a subject for the first time here, so I'll let you just give a bit of background and what you're asking of the new provincial government.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So the situation that we're in is that Health Canada has been screaming about radon and radon-induced lung cancer in Newfoundland for about 12 years now. We have about 14 studies, 2 national and 12 municipal, that show this is a major issue in Newfoundland. And what that means in practical terms is that every year about 100 people in our province are getting lung cancer from radon. And lung cancer is the deadliest form of cancer, so we're losing about 80 people per year to radon-induced lung cancer. There's a myth out there that that lung cancer is a smoker's disease, but many, many cases of lung cancer are from environmental factors such as radon. So where we are is, we've been notified of this for 12 years. We've got 14 studies. After those years, we're probably approaching somewhere close to 1,000 Newfoundland deaths. We're probably approaching $100 million in healthcare costs. Yet the provincial government still does not have a radon plan. And the radon budget to support homeowners and child care facilities in particular is exactly $0.
Yeah, I know that the city of St. John's is into the radon testing. I know that they took part in Health Canada's, what was it, I think, Take Action and Radon program, and the city was supplying radon levels, kits to test in their home. I think there were 500 or so free ones given out for a while, and I think 100 per ward and that sort of thing. That was on a municipal level, but you're just saying that there's been no step up for provincial? Is that the issue?
Exactly. So the federal government funded those test kits, and the municipal governments have been kind of the enablers to get them out to the residents, and that's fantastic. That's excellent. I'd say by now we've probably tested 1%, maybe 2% of homes in Newfoundland.
Is that it? Wow.
We've got a long ways to go. So those programs are great for kind of getting awareness starting, getting some data, but it's really now to the provincial government to step up and say, okay, here's a 10-year plan. There's no way we can fix this overnight or in a year, but here's a 10-year, 12-year plan to get momentum going and to fix this issue.
We got a bit of time here. I just wanted to. Why don't you just let's go back for a moment. I want to ask you what got you down this road into this realm. What got you into what made this the issue for you? How you got involved? But again, for a bit of background, and people are hearing us talk about radon, we should always assume that people are hearing topics for the first time, really, on a general program like this. Just tell us what radon is and where you can find it in your house and what the risks are and that sort of thing. Just the basic facts.
Yeah, so our bedrock and our soils have a lot of uranium. The uranium gives off a gas over time, and that gas, most of it comes up outdoors and causes really negligible health impacts. But inside our homes, this gas it accumulates to incredibly high levels. We've fixed homes in CBS recently that are 15 times, 20 times higher than the national limits. So at those levels, this gas is producing enough radiation to equal, over 10,000 dental x-rays a year worth of radiation. You can't see it, you can't smell it, so the only way you know if this is in your home is to do a test.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I hear this topic and I wonder, there's so many things out there that we're told from day to day could cause cancer, may cause cancer, does cause cancer in certain realms. And it's hard to, look out for everything. And especially when it's an invisible gas, you're told it's everywhere. It comes down to percentages for a lot of people, and they wonder, and moderation. How much are you exposed to over time? How susceptible people are to it? Everybody's metabolisms are different. You and I both know probably people who've smoked all their lives, never been sick, or at least never gotten cancer. Probably have naturally occurring issues and health problems such as bronchitis and all these different things that can be exacerbated if you smoke regularly. But yet, when you throw this one into Olympia, are you concerned that people just still don't really take it seriously, not seriously enough, or should take it more seriously?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is just awareness. And that's coming back to our ask of the provincial government is to raise awareness. So this is a big issue in our province, and people are legitimately getting sick and legitimately passing away, and we're legitimately spending a lot of money on healthcare to tackle this issue, but we're not addressing kind of the root cause. We're not addressing the awareness and the simple testing. Testing is very cheap, as low as $55 to test your home. So this is not a major undertaking, and if the government does testing, they can do it even cheaper than that. So yeah. There's not a big not a big barrier to entry here to get a program rolling.
Yeah, I believe it or not, $55 can be a lot to people if there's no immediate return on your investment, so to speak. I don't mean to belittle it, but when there's so many other things going on, $55 these days goes a lot less than it used to go. So I guess basically you're trying to get the provincial government to make sure that there's no cost associated with it and make it most available to anybody.
Yeah, we're asking for a few things. One is, let's make the testing, just raise the awareness, just make the testing affordable. If somebody does need to mitigate their home, then I would prefer to see something like 0% financing to assist with that. New homes that are being built need to be built to the National Building Code in terms of radon measures. Child care facilities where our kids are spending a lot of their days, they need to be a priority. Those are the types of things we're asking for government.
Of the mortality rates associated with radon levels, is it possible for them to actually drill down and say that radon was a cause of this cancer? I mean, does that happen? I mean, there's so many different, the medical intricacies of coming up with a definitive cause of death. What actually, it may have been cancer, but how can we determine that this was actually the cause? Do we have that?
Yeah, so Health Canada has that. They've, there's been studies going back, actually using the miners, their data back, 50, 60, 80 years ago, and that data was the first studies into radon. So we know that 1 in 6 lung cancers across Canada are from radon. Can we drill down to the individual person? No, but the science is rock solid. There's no questioning the science. There's no questioning the data. It's been studied to death.
So among other things, you're calling for a 10-year provincial homeowner awareness and testing plan. So that's a 10-year. What would encompass that?
Yeah. So, the provincial government really needs to start, right? That's what we need to start. We know this is going to take a decade or more to fix. So raising awareness, social media is super accessible to all of our politicians, get the message out there. Simple things like postcards and that kind of stuff for those who don't consume social media. Affordable testing kits, and then support to mitigate homes if necessary.
Stephen Thorne with the Transfer Radon program. I appreciate the call today. You doing anything for Halloween?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing anything for Halloween? You got a costume?
Yes.
I'm asking everybody today, what's your costume? Can you go as a test kit?
Actually, my father-in-law is going to be dressed up as Superman and answering the door for all the kids this afternoon.
Oh, wicked. Where are you located?
I'm out in Middle Cove.
Oh, okay, good. So neighbors will know who that is. So Superman's on duty in Middle Cove. That's great to know. And yourself? Are you going to, a radon test kit would be good. Promoting it,
I would love to give away radon test kits if I could afford it. That'd be fantastic to give out thousands of those.
I was thinking
maybe the provincial government will do that next year.
I was thinking more about dressing up as one.
Well, I've been considering that, a big radioactive symbol as a costume. That'd be fun. Maybe I'll get on that for next year.
Yeah, it might take a little explaining, but to the average homeowner. But there you go. Steve, look, I know you've been beating this drum for some time now, and it's all legit. I hope that I'm just being a devil's advocate on some of these things, but clearly, it's a risk. It's an issue that we'll see. The government has just a few things on its plate. And as we all know, the new health minister, Leila Evans, doesn't just have the health portfolio. She has Labrador Affairs and Indigenous Affairs as well. I'm sure it'll take a little while for everybody to get into their roles and comfortable and prioritizing. But, keep us posted and let us know if you're satisfied with any of the progress on these fronts. And if there is progress, whether or not you get any reach out or any response to the overtures that you've made.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks. Steve Thorne with President of Transfer Radon. Dave, what do you think? 27, take the break, and then back with Walter. Welcome back to Open Line. Brian Callahan in for Paddy Daly. Today, let's go to line number 2. And Walter Harding, you're on the air.
Hello, Brian. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. You gave it a good go. You gave it the old the college try.
Oh, for anybody who doesn't know what you're talking about, yes, I was honored to offer myself as an at-large candidate here in the city of St. John's, and as a very, very small budget, we funded it ourselves from our life savings, and a very small team, just myself and my beautiful wife, and through a few challenges of, over 60 signs stolen and ripped off and all that kind of baloney that always goes on. 8,000 people here in St. John's put their trust in me, and I know a lot of them, when they filled in the circle next to my name, I really truly do believe that they thought that they were filling it in for themselves, because I am just a regular homeowner, taxpayer. I haven't got a political bone in my body. I am just my city is my life, and I want to do what I can to help it, and everybody who lives here and works here and visits here. So 8,000 people is a lot. I knew 10,000 was the number that we had to get to. I thought 10,000, and it sure was. And I tell you, it would have been nice to stand up and say, listen, beat the odds. You can beat the odds. Just work hard, work hard, work hard. But it's just the way it goes. I can never find a word to say thank you so much to everybody who voted for me. It's the trust that they showed in me. I'll never, ever be able to thank them enough.
Yeah, the effort alone that you put in time and time again, you may not be sitting down at council, but you're heard here. So anyway, I know, look, all good things. Wetlands. Talk to me about wetlands.
Yes, so, I know I only got a couple of minutes here, so I'll try to be as quick as I can. Anytime I bring up a city issue, it's not a me versus city versus me, us versus them kind of thing. I'm only interested in the city and the people who live here. So when I bring something up, it's because I think it needs a bit of attention, and I'd like for people to maybe pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. Back in 2020, May 11th, 2020, City of St. John's congratulated themselves for protecting over 10,000 wetlands here in the city, and that included the Gould's environmentally valuable areas, which just a little while back, a couple of months ago, the city has opened up that wetland system for development. So it's a WESP, the WESP score. So it's simply Wetland Ecosystem Services Protocol. It's a 0 to 10 kind of system where it's 60 field questions and 50 office questions, and anything 5 or above is protected, anything 5 or below is not. So this was protected.
Yeah, that was if I recall, Walter, sorry to interject, but if I recall, that number alone was a contentious issue before council, whether or not it should be 5, whether or not it should be 6 or 7 or 4 and 3, the standard, that benchmark, I remember that being a contentious issue itself, because the higher it is, the harder it is to include that in any development, correct?
Absolutely. Above 5 is not to be developed, and it was. And you're absolutely 1,000% correct. And that's the reason why I'm sort of scratching my head saying, in a time where we need as many wetlands as we can for the animals and the plants and the birds and the flood mitigation, it's its own ecosystem. Yeah. If this was, say, it was less than 5, so what was it, 4.9, 4.7, 4, we have no idea. But you're going from R1, so rural, to rural residential infill. So now you can develop that land unserviced, so you can develop it. But that piece of land in Gould's, I sent an email to you just to show you the piece of land. The fact that it has a river running through the entirety of the piece of the land, that should be a reason enough to say, hey, hold on for a second. Some people, Brian, might say, Walter, we had no rain, so what good is a wetland? Well, I can almost guarantee you, if you went 50 feet to the left of that piece of land and 50 feet to the right of that piece of land, you stuck a spade in the ground, it'd be dry as a bone. In that wetland, it's like a piece of foam in flowers that you purchase, that green foam. The water goes in and it stays there and it holds it, and it holds it, and it holds it. So wetlands are crucial. And I'm not poo-pooing on the city for this. I'm just simply saying, especially to the new members of council and a new group that's together, do your math, do your homework, and make sure that you get it right, because once that ground is gone, you'll never be able to replace what nature put there.
Yeah, it was, it's not let's face it, it's not headline grabbing stuff when council gets into, excuse the pun, the weeds of wetland talk and guidelines and that sort of thing. It's unfortunate. I cover council on a regular basis, and unfortunately, some of the topics are just too big to fit into a morning news story, or you could at least condense it into maybe like a morning show piece where you can hear them debating it. But even that can get so technical that you're just not going to grab the attention of a listener who's trying to get out the door at 8 in the morning. So it's hard to condense it into a news story. It's been important work. That whole wetland study and reassessment of all the wetlands within the municipality, I tried to follow it, and again, you make the point. The fine line between what would be developable and what would not was, a heated debate. Unfortunately, it was so into the weeds, it was hard to decipher exactly who was standing where on it, so to speak. But it's not going away, and especially down around the airport and those places where there's more development being looked at. I know there's a huge swath down there, and now we got the Ballyhaley. Which has a lot of wetland within it, and there's talk of a small bridge over one and other things. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a river. River runs through it. There's things living in it. Unfortunately, I think that when it gets down to it, the smaller it is, the less significant it is. The more that the engineers believe there'll be less impact, and that can be. You may not find out the results of that for years after the fact.
I agree with you, Brian. And when you mentioned Ballyhaley, not only for the wetlands, for that crucial, but also the rodent control. I mean, you can imagine tens of thousands of rodents there. So that has to be addressed. I mean, the entirety of the East End is going to be affected by that. And you're right. You are right. These kind of stories don't get really much headlines, and people around the city don't really pay much attention to it. Not because they're ignorant. I don't mean ignorant rude, but ignorant just too busy in life to even have the time to put to it. But it only becomes a problem when you've never had water in your basement, and now you're looking down at 3 feet of it.
And you're wondering, what's going on there? And
where did that water come from?
And you wonder, something's flooding in the house. No, it could be the land around you. And yeah, absolutely. I've heard, I live relatively, not as close as Paddy to Ballyhaley, but close enough where I see it almost every day. And Paddy talked about the burrows of, that you can see everywhere with the rats. And it's like the skin crawl is exactly what it is. It's, I thought about it just the other day driving and just daydreaming for a second. Imagine being a worker or one of the first to go in there and start ripping up that ground. I hope they're well protected. I'd be in a hazmat.
No, I agree with you on that one as well, Brian. Sometimes, I'll take that back. Most times, the smallest issues cause the biggest concerns.
Yeah, and it may seem like a small issue, but again, it is a massive one. But unless you're an engineer or into the weeds with the city and you have a vested interest, if you're just a homeowner, you're just relying on the city to make sure it's in the right place and has all the amenities and isn't exposed to what it shouldn't be.
Do it right, measure twice, cut once.
Absolutely. Walter, I appreciate the call always. Look forward to seeing your name on the ballot again next time.
I will be there, and tonight when I the kids knock on the door, if we get anybody, if you're wondering, I'm going to be going as Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, wicked. From the show,
I have the hairline for it, and I got a white T-shirt, and I have a mustache.
And I appreciate you offering. I was going to ask, but you beat me to it, so I'm not letting anybody go today without I don't care if it's radon or not. I'm going to find out. So, Bob's Burgers, good one. Send us a picture if you get a chance.
Have a great weekend.
You too, Walter. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Right. All right, Dave, where we go? We got a few minutes before the break. Going to go to line number 3, and Kathy, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Fine for a Friday, for a Halloween Friday, for a Halloween Jays Friday.
Yes, that's right. A couple of questions this morning that I've been trying to bring to people's attention, and obviously I'm not getting anywhere. I don't know if Tony Wakem is listening. Was he on your show yesterday?
Yes, I believe he was on with Paddy the day after that he was sworn in for a very general, right off the top day after being sworn in. I caught some of it, but most of the morning it was in and out. I was down, stuck in the courts, and hard to listen to open line when you're trying to cover a court case.
Sure, yes.
But yes, he was on the show. I don't know how much they all talked about and how tight or deep they got into all the issues. But sorry, go ahead.
One thing that is logical to me that the contract for MOU. Why does it have to be a 50-year contract? If you're going in that long, I feel that with each new election and each new premier, or even if it stays the same premier, sign the contract for 4 years at a time, and if it needs to be revised, revise it, and if all is going well, keep it the way it's going.
Yeah, there's the two ways there are two minds to this, right? I mean, you could do the short term if Hydro-Quebec was amenable to it. You'd have to, that's part of the negotiation. But the advantage seems to be on this end of it, on Newfoundland and Labrador's end, if you lock it in for that, as energy needs change over the next decades, maybe we're locking in at a better time now. If energy needs change and Quebec can go in and change the terms of it, or anybody can change the terms of it, then we might not lock in for what the lucrative number that we have right now, the $250 billion that people are throwing around. So, and the immediate money might not flow the same way, and it would probably change a lot of water on the beans. But that seems to be the very broad general scope of it. A long-term contract could be to our advantage, which is the way we're looking at it. Short-term, maybe not so much, and there's so much going to happen. We all know that the Quebec government is teetering. Most, if not everybody, assumes that they will be gone before the next election next fall, and that changes things. So if they're out by then, if we don't strike now, so they say, while the iron is hot, while the current Legault government is in power, then we may miss out. And that's the problem. Nobody really knows how good this deal is. That's the truth of it. Nobody really knows because we can't predict the future. So we don't know what the energy needs will be. We don't know the cost of a kilowatt hour in 10 years. We don't know a lot. We are all hoping that our experts are smarter than their experts. That's all we're hoping. And that we don't get caught and don't miss something like we did back in 69. Simple.
Yes, because this one's probably going to be worse than 69. But I'm glad that he's getting an independent company to review it.
He hasn't really said a company as such. I think he has said we're going. It's again, what I did hear from the new premier is still a little vague on this, right? I think we all agree. The idea is independent experts. Now, whether or not that's a firm, or I thought I heard him say today that it would be people that they would pick to assess which people to get to do the work, which. If you sat through the Muskrat Falls inquiry, there are a lot of people in those roles where you had some people overseeing other people in organizations, and consumer advocates and all the rest of it. But that's the idea, and that sounds good to all of us because, as I just said, nobody really knows. So you want the best, most informed, non-political. Because when you're starting to look at dates because of when an election is, then the real issues of the MOU are out the window when it becomes political. So I asked the former Premier Hogan earlier this week whether or not the same negotiators that the government had under his watch will be the same negotiators under Mr. Wakeham's watch. And, of course, he threw the ball into Mr. Wakeham's court to say, well, that's up to him, whoever he has. But it's not really, because we do know that there are non-political negotiators, supposedly, such as Jennifer Williams with Hydro, that isn't supposed to have a political interest in this. This is supposed to be about what's the best plan for our energy needs in this province and financially going forward. So it remains to be seen. It's still a bit murky what the new premier has in mind for that, but the sooner we find out, the better.
Well, I hope the choice is the right one. Now, this is in regards to the former government cabinet, the Minister of Finance, Siobhan Cody. Our deficit for Newfoundland and Labrador. One question, actually there's two questions I'd like to have answered. I don't know if you can answer them or not, but maybe if she's listening. The cannabis that's being sold here in Newfoundland and Labrador, the taxes on that, where are the taxes going? Because it's definitely not going on the deficit.
Well, first of all, the industry is not what it was thought it would be. We all know that the big old manufacturing plant up on East White Hills never came to fruition for that very reason. It's not the business that they thought it would be. The government accrues tax money, for lack of a better word, from all sorts of things that it does, including the NLC. And the NLC does the government's business as far as booze and cannabis goes, and that's where they reap their taxes from that. But, of course, we've all known that, the numbers fluctuate, but it just doesn't seem like it was ever enough to be a commercially viable to get into a big manufacturing plant, at least not yet. Instead, and I will note this, if you drive East White Hills where that building is, and I'm still not sure, anyone can tell me, this is one of those things that I'm not necessarily deep into the weeds on, but if there's anything else planned for that facility that was built to be a manufacturing plant, and it hasn't happened. So it's a sign, I think, of the industry, the cannabis industry itself. There's still a lot of people who got their cannabis before any kind of decriminalization and legalization happened. They're probably still getting it from the same place. Unless there's a rush on that. So, those taxes accrue. I can't give you a number right off the top of my head, but, it goes into the government coffers from NLC and the profits that they make.
Okay, well, let's go now with the sugar tax that Siobhan Cody introduced.
You mean the one that couldn't? The one that couldn't be eliminated under the Liberals, but magically during the election campaign could be.
No, she got rid of. Jury got rid of the sugar tax himself, didn't he?
Well, they said that they could. They said that they couldn't. They brought it in, and then they said, I may be mixing it up now. I'll tell you what, I'm just told by Dave. Kathy, can you hold on a couple of minutes? We're a little past the break.
Sure.
Do you want to hang on? We'll get right back to you. Dave just told me, and he's right, we're 3 minutes past the break, so that's not an excuse on my end. Just take a quick hold, and we'll take a break and come right back to you. Is that okay? Great. Thanks for your patience. Okay, off to the break, Dave. We'll be right back with Kathy. Oh, welcome back to the program. Let's go back to join Kathy on line 3. Kathy, sorry about that. Thanks for hanging in. Just going to mention, too, a couple of things. First of all, I mentioned the cannabis canopy growth, the manufacturing plant that was going to be in East White Hills. I cut myself off, but if you drive by that now, that building is still there, but guess what else is there? The massive, the work has not just been, the ground hasn't just been broken. There is some big progress on the new penitentiary. If you haven't been by it, and if you want to take a drive by it, the rubber hit the road on that one, and they're at it. So I just throw that out there. And as far as the confusion I was having, I was mixing up the sugar tax with the break on electricity bills. That's the two things. So on the sugar tax, yes, the government eliminated that as of July of this year. Felt very much like pressure with an election coming at the time because of the hill that they weren't going to die on with that. I mean, they long said they stuck by their guns with that. Lo and behold, a few months before an election, it disappeared. But yeah, the other thing was the break on HST on electricity residential bills. So the Liberals committed to that. That was the one I was mixing up. The Liberals committed to that, or pledged, promised, whichever word you want to use, in the lead up to the election as part of a campaign promise to remove the HST from all residential electricity bills, saving people about 10%. That was the promise they made. Of course, it was early. That was only a year after the finance minister, Siobhan Cody, said we couldn't do that. But lo and behold, they looked at the New Brunswick experience, and surprise, surprise, they were able to make it a campaign promise. So that was my confusion there. Apologies, going off on tangents. What else can I help you with today?
Okay, we'll get back to sugar tax now, Siobhan Cody.
Yeah.
When she introduced that new tax, according to her, we had the highest rate of diabetes in Canada.
And nothing changed after?
That's correct. So they took the taxes. It wasn't a deterrent for people to stop buying the soft drinks and anything with sugar in it. And I can't remember, but it was in the millions the first year that they took in revenue from the taxes of that. I'd like to know where that went, because it never went to what Siobhan Cody said it was going to go to.
Well,
I do know that she said that people have healthier lives, eat healthier foods, and also get people back into the gym. Now, do you know anybody that received a gym membership in the mail?
No, not offhand, and I'm always wary because it may be a cent to join for some, but then, well, I won't go down that road. But no, I don't know of that either. You know, it really was, to me, it wasn't so much, yes, the problem was going to reap some kind of financial benefit from it, but it really wasn't about, I mean, it came around the same time as the health accord was being thrown on the road, and the wheels were in motion, and the whole idea was we have to change the way we live, and part of that goes to, changing our diet, a healthier diet, and that sort of thing. But, it really comes down to moderation for everything. I mean, moderation with everything will lead you to a better path. The issue with the sugar tax was it was very, in theory and a very, there's a word I'm looking for, but, it's a theoretical issue, and it was tied in with the health accord just to overall healthy living. Whether or not the average person, by throwing a tax on it, was going to stop, pull that drink off a shelf and not drink it, I find that hard to believe. I know people who will go to their grave with Diet Pepsi. I mean, or diet, and diet being the operative word. Give me a break. But, it's like saying green steel. So, Pepsi is Pepsi, Coke is Coke, and soft drinks will always be a part of our lives. I love one every now and then, but I don't drink it anywhere near I used to drink it as a teenager. Just all of these things, and for all of our kids, whether it's the sport drinks or the juices and that sort of thing. I'm not sure it ever stopped people really to any extent of just stopping drinking sugary drinks. Do you?
Well, not according to the money they took in on it. It didn't stop. And after that first year, when they knew that people were not stopping purchasing the sugar products, they should have got rid of tax then.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Then they got rid of it. So how theological or how theoretical...
How long did it take to get rid of it, though, Brian?
3 years.
Okay, well, where'd the money go?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of the money went to the coffers. The numbers at the top of my head, I could probably Google it, but there's some things that I can't be as up on as I wish I could be when I'm filling in on open line like this. But I do. There's a number. Whether or not you can drill down and say exactly, because again, it's a percentage that comes off, and it comes in different ways, and it's administered by the finance department in different ways, and there's a way they can calculate it, and it's a tangly accounting process. I can't tell you exactly how much they ever brought in, but again, what it accomplished, I don't know. I mean, it put it in our heads that we're supposed to be healthier. I'd say for me, that's about it. And then after 3 years with an election coming, they dumped it. So you have to wonder how invested they really were into, the most important part, which was supposed to be the health of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, because an election came and it was unpopular, and it was a way maybe to lighten the load a little bit. I don't know how much of a lighten the load it is. Cut that HST off the electricity bills. I'm not sure if the Tories will follow through and maybe pick up that promise that the Liberals threw out there before the election, but that's another story altogether. It's a funny thing what can be less important or more important in the days before election than they were before and after.
Yeah, and they could also brought awareness to the rate of diabetes here in Newfoundland and Labrador without taxing anything.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much sugary drinks contribute to all, the obesity or diabetes or related complications, health complications that come with being obese. I don't know. Again, we all know what the 10-year health accord is there for. It's overall to try to make us healthier so that there's less reliance on the healthcare system, and we can, better manage that. But when governments take it and put it on and take it off, you have to question, how serious they were in the first place.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely. Kathy, you got a costume?
Pardon me?
Have you got a costume?
Well, do you know something? No, I don't. And I'm going to, the gentleman that was on before myself, he was talking about lung cancer and all that, right? About cigarette smoke, and it's one of the causes of, healthier living, I guess.
Yeah.
Or habits. Unfortunately, I am a smoker. And I had to give my neighbour my treats to give to the children because I can't go up and downstairs.
Wow.
Due to lung disease caused by smoking.
How long have you been a smoker, Kathy?
About 20 years.
Okay.
Siobhan Coley, when she put sugar tax on sugar, I do believe that the lung disease or COPD and lung cancer per capita, this time Labrador's highest rate there across Canada. Why don't they ban cigarettes? Why don't they tax cigarettes? And see how quick people will be willing to pay $200 or $300, well, not $200 because that's what it is now, $300 or $400 for a carton of contraband cigarettes.
Kathy, let me ask you this. How high would the tax have to be before you would stop smoking? Kathy?
It wouldn't, I wouldn't, I really can't answer that because it's a hard habit to break, and God knows I tried everything. Another thing, why don't you put a rehab here for 15 days? So people that truly really want to quit, put them in rehab 15 days, get smoke, nicotine out of the system, and hopefully they don't return.
Yeah, Dave just put into my head, too, the smoking cessation program that's at MUN. We've had Kathy Phillips on here many times talking about that. I don't know if you're aware of it or if you've tried it, but they have a great program. They talk about the success. People who've been smoking a long time are at wit's end, can't kick the habit, can't answer that question that I asked you, like how high would the taxes, because we know people will somehow find a way to still buy because it's a hard habit to break. Shout out to Chicago. Great old song. But, that's the issue right there. I don't know if you've tried that. And, Kathy, I'm a couple of minutes over for the news. But are you familiar with that cessation program at MUN?
No, but I am involved with two other ones.
I can give you a quick number only because I got to get to the news.
Okay. Go right ahead.
864.
Okay. Yes.
6245. 864-2645. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah.
6245. 6245, yeah. 864-6245, 709, of course. Give them a shout. Like, it'll only take a minute just to open the conversation and see where you go with it. And if you get a chance, if I'm not here, let Patty know how you do with it.
All right, thanks so much. It's a pleasure talking to you, Brian.
You as well, Kathy. Have a great weekend. All right, my apologies to the newsroom. Off to the news.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And welcome back to the program. Thanks, Sarah Strickland, for the news update. Let's go to line 6 and maybe one of the busiest men in the city of St. John's tonight and today. Dale Jarvis, you're on the air.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you, sir. Thanks for joining us for minutes. I know you're a busy man today, but you got a few things on the go. A couple of them involve VOCM here. So why don't you just take us through what your day looks like?
Yeah, this is like Christmas Day for me. This is my favorite day of the year. So tonight we are hosting on VOCM the Haunted Hotline, the open line for all your paranormal questions and stories. So we do this annually. I think this is number 5 that we've done.
That's what I've heard.
The Haunted Hotline, and looking forward to it. It's always a great night, and looking forward to hear some stories hopefully from all across the province.
You're not a busy man today, so let's say it's your Christmas. How does your day start out? Like, when is your first, being the folklorist and the downtown official hiking guide guy, when does the first round start?
Oh my gosh! I look forward to this day every year. And this year I've been busy. It amazes me how every year more and more people are getting into the whole house decorating thing.
Yeah.
So I've been making fake tombstones. They're going up in front of the house when I get home at lunch, taking off early from work,
nice.
So I can give some candy out to the little ones as they go around.
Yep. Dale, you talked about just the tales and all that. So, like, you've heard it all, you've told it all. First of all, like, is it stranger, or it strikes me that it's not that bad doing a haunted hike during daylight hours downtown? Like, I've seen it going around, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. The atmosphere and just the topography of downtown and the churches and everything, it works during day and night, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Nighttime is always a little bit spookier, so we always try to do it in the evening. But yeah, we've taken people around in broad daylight, and there's still spooky stuff, So it sends shivers up your spine, regardless if it's light or dark. But yes, darker is always spookier. Is
there one, when you're talking to the masses around and trying to shout and everybody's trying to hear you, is there one that really sort of gets people a little more than others?
I think the one thing I like about the haunted hike that I still find exciting is taking people down some of the back alleys in St. John's and telling them stories in places where they've never been. I still get people who will say to me, I've lived in St. John's and I've never been down this little alleyway. So those little hidden spaces are always my favorite ones, and being able to tell stories that actually happened on that spot, I think it's a really important part of the haunted hike.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I walk a certain area from my house to Churchill Square almost every day, grab coffee and that sort of thing. And I was walking back yesterday, and for whatever reason, I took a different route. And here was this path that I had never, ever been down between all of the houses. And I just shocked me. I was like, this has been here all this time. And I mean, I walk back and forth to the courts all the time as well. And I'll take a different route every now and then just to shake it up a bit. And again, you're absolutely right. There's alleyways behind and between houses and that sort of thing. I shudder to say some of them are not safe many times a year, but you got to be careful where you're walking. But just the same, it must be an adventure and a half taking people down through these things, and they really get into it, don't they?
They really do. And you said that you've seen it all, you've heard it all, but the other great part of doing this, and this is the other fun part about tonight, is that I always end up hearing stories I've never heard before, which is amazing. A buddy of mine who works in Harbor Grace the other day, they were going through some papers and found a collection of local folklore that someone had typed up, and so he scanned it off and sent it to me, and there were stories in there from Harbor Grace that I had never heard before about a phantom Newfoundland dog that lives up on Bannerman Lake Road. So I'm always getting new stories, which is great for the kid in me. Yeah,
and good for business.
Absolutely.
I mentioned this just a minute ago, and we're almost up to break. So I'll just give you one more. Just I just wonder for someone like you who has seen it all and heard it all, thought you had, as you said, there's other things coming out all the time that you never heard of. But what's one that just give me one here that might just put a little tingle up a few spines before tonight.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, one of my favorite stories from the Haunted Hike is one that we told from the very beginning about the headless captain on Queens Road, which now we think of as downtown, but in the 1700s was really the outside of St. John's.
Yeah.
A captain had his head lopped off by a jealous lover, and people still say that they have strange encounters with a headless man on Queens Road. That's enough to put the fright into anyone.
Yeah, you know what? It's daytime here, and you're just saying it, but I will admit my arms and tingles just went, okay, headless man on Queens Road. I walk there way too often. That's great, Dale. So just give us again the wheres and the whens and I guess it's the regular phone numbers here for VOCM as well.
Yeah, same as you would call for open line, and we'll be on air. Myself and Claudette Barnes will be here from 7 to 9. So you can turn us on and have a listen while you're handing out candy.
Right on. 709-273-5211 1-888-590 VOCM 8626. Dale Jarvis, thanks a lot. Have a spooky, excellent time this evening.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too. All right, Dave, let's take that break. Right back after the break. Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number 4. And caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So I was listening to your show earlier in regarding to the housing situation, and a couple people were talking about getting the proper air quality testing done.
Right.
I could personally catch on that one. I'm currently moving tomorrow. Thank God. Was put into a bit of a situation where there's a lot of codes being broken. So with that said, if the air quality testing is not purposely done, whichever reason they have, then to me they should be all accounted for. I think the more voices that speak up against the homeowners, landlords, or property management team, the better it is. I know it's not going to be a quick fix for government, but what we really need to do is start focusing task on hand, making sure that the houses are actually suitable to either put on the market or to rent. It is a long process. It's taking up a lot of time under Newfoundland Labrador Tenancies Act. I, for one, put in a complaint, dispute, and also put in for a peers request, and I'm not getting a court date until the mid part of November, the end part of November. So...
Yeah, and I'm down in the middle of that. I will say this, about what you're going through. First of all, you mentioned a lot of codes being broken, just not followed, you mean? Or can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so example, oil tank. Oil tank needs an inspection.
Okay. Yeah.
So, therefore, I can't get any oil. Propane tank mine is expired, can't be used, so no source of heat.
So in the month of October, it's quite cold. But in the middle of November, December, they expect you to stay here with no heat. Like, how can they expect that? Then you have pest control. So pest control has been here a couple of times. It's an older home, needs abatement or whatever to get rid of the situation is in the wall. And the list goes on.
Yeah.
It goes on with flooring. It goes on with, inadequate walkways. Landed on my face back in September going at the walkway. Even though all these things were reported, they're still not fixed.
Yeah, and that's just because there's so much in the queue. So, and not just in the queue for inspections, which we all know is tough enough because, the rules around inspections and the number of inspectors that are available, and then the things that can happen to make it quicker and not so quick and can slow things down. People are busy, and there's so many, and especially at the end of a month, when a house, that's when most of the houses and rents change hands and people move, and because it's the beginning of the month and end of the month. But I can also tell you this: I have noticed in the courts, and there's only a certain type of court where breaches of regulations of city regulations can be heard first off. You'll get a first hearing in number 7, and then we move to number 5. There are a lot there right now. If you look at the court docket, somebody is cracking a whip. That's my opinion. There has been a change in the enforcement. Now, it might not be helping you right now, and there may be this may be why your court date is. Did you say November?
Yeah, later part of November.
Yeah, it may not seem great. That's not bad. There are some matters that have been pushed well into February and March already, and if you're waiting for your house to be shored up and properly, all of the proper permits and everything in place and all the inspections done, that would be obviously too long. But these other breaches and this sort of thing and allegations that, breaches of city regulations, there are a lot before the court right now than I used to see before. So, that may, while it's good that things are getting caught and people, sometimes we should be careful what we wish for, because that just causes a backlog. It slows things down and takes resources away from what might be, put in other areas and that sort of thing. Now, all I'm saying is they're doing the best. They seem to be doing even a little bit better with what they have than they possibly could be, because again, we've heard talk about not enough inspectors or not enough being done in time or not happening fast enough. There's a lot more regulations, so someone's doing inspections, that's for sure, because the breach is down there, and the city lawyer who's regularly there now, and I see him regularly, and I never used to, he's there now regularly, putting through these breaches and that sort of thing. So it's on the one hand, it can really hold up the most important thing in your life right now, which is a roof over your head and heat. And on the other hand,
no heat.
Yeah, that would be the number one, I guess. So what's the latest? Where do you stand right on that? That would seem to be the most pressing of your needs.
The most important thing right now, yeah. So included in this house was the price of electricity. So in the contract, I am not allowed to have space heaters. So I don't have any space heaters. But it did not say in the contract that if the tank had to be inspected, which was already reported, then I don't have any oil. So it's already been reported. It's already been put in their queue. So why didn't they have that inspected so I can get oil?
And you can't do any kind of short-term thing, as you said, with a little space heater just to get you through until the red tape is cleared up. I can see the issue with space heaters in some houses. I mean, obviously they can be a risk.
Totally understandable, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen too many house fires. Just accidental, you name it, malfunction. It's not anyone's fault necessarily, or even the product. All kinds of them. They're just so small and portable, and a pet can knock it over. There's just so many things can happen, especially if you have propane ones that, you get gas and that sort of thing involved. I can see that as well. I'd say you're not the only one in this boat, though, either. So what are you going to do?
Well, currently I'm moving tomorrow. Way cheaper. This place is above I'm going to tell you a ballpark between $2,200 and $2,300 a month.
Yeah.
For something that's not up to code.
Is this a house or a unit or?
This is a main level.
Okay, so just the main floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, at least you're not worried about heat in the basement or the attic. I don't know. Or do they open up a can of worms there? Because, I'm just thinking if you just have the main floor, then you don't have to worry about going up to a cold bedroom, maybe. I don't know. I'm just, in a short-term fix.
It's pretty cold here.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's an older home, too, is it?
Yeah. It is an older home.
Yeah. Drafts, windows, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so windows definitely, because of the, the furnace the way it is, it's a air-cooled furnace.
Yeah.
If anybody knows what it's like to have an oil tank and not have no oil into it, then you're still having cold air blowing up.
Yeah.
You know.
You don't want that to run dry, that's for sure.
No. So, currently I'm going to another place. It's better. But then there's also a catch-22 where, that one don't include washer and dryer, but that's my problem. But if anybody hears me, and if you got any suggestions or know anybody that could get a flick of a washer dryer offhand, it'd be great.
Well, that's out there too. Yeah, by all means, throw that out there. And Dave has your number here. If somebody actually has one, we can give you a shout back if someone calls specifically about that. By all means, always. Everybody's
just been a straight of luck this fall. It's I wish anybody out there. Keep plugging away. That's my best advice. Keep plugging away at people out there, making sure that when you go in to view a property, that you go through 100%. Don't let them rush you through. And for government, please keep on these people. They should not have illegal. I shouldn't say illegal, but they should have to have registered properties with the proper components, up-to-date standards, and everything would be fine.
Yeah, read as much fine print as you can, sadly. As hard as it can be for someone with poor nearsightedness. But, sometimes people don't have the luxury of taking their time. It's got to be, you're in that tough position where you got to take something and not take something else. That it may not be the ideal situation where the washer and dryer, but you got to cut your losses sometimes. Some people. Who needs a nudge right now on your end? Who are you waiting? Who's the one who needs a nudge now to get the other nudge, and to get at least heat for you?
Yeah, so the one that needs a nudge right now, I'm not going to be here the rest of the day. I'm trying to, put a positive swing on it. Hey, we're here tomorrow. Bundle up. I'm not putting any oil in that tank for the sake of one day.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if they were to come right now and say inspection was completed, I would not turn on I've done it this long.
You're going to hold out?
It is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
And this is the way that people are thinking. It's sad. It's so sad. I think government needs to step in and look at and take action.
Yeah, well, they're just getting their feet wet right now, and there's a lot of things they have got to take action. Boy, they have so much on their plate right now. It'll be interesting to see, though. I mentioned earlier, if they take lop that 10% off the HST off the electricity bills like the Liberals promised as well. That can always help. Every little bit is helping these days. Hey, bye.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, look, I wish you nothing but the best. Big move tomorrow. As I mentioned to other people, I'm filling in for Patty. But if you got an update for him, and especially on the washer dryer front, we get any calls here, we've got a cell phone there for you, so we'll give you a nudge. But try to keep Patty updated, and good luck to you.
All right. Good luck to everybody out there.
Okay. Thanks so much for the call.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Take care. Bye. All right, Dave. Right on to 30. Let's go to news. Be right back with the last half hour.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
Welcome back to the program. We're into the home stretch for this Halloween Friday. Let's go right to Tony. Line 1, you're on the air.
How are you this morning?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't on the phone this morning, but when I heard the former minister phoning in about healthcare, really got me going because, we got 1,000 people waiting to get colonoscopy around Carmel area, down that area, that district. And now I never hear her speaking on that. And the same thing with we got 175,000 people waiting on a doctor. They got no doctors under this government the last 10 years. And the same thing with we had doctors here who graduated. They left because the way they were treated. Some doctors there was waiting. That was all over the news there a few years ago. But how they were waiting for a 4-year contract, and then on the last one they offered one, they had to take it or leave it. I mean, I know of a doctor that was graduated here and he left, never even got an offer. There's more doctors, one in Trepassey.
And there was one.
They wanted her to go from Trepassey.
Yeah, and there was one from Saskatchewan who wanted to come here, but the college did their due diligence and managed to dodge that bullet. Tony, you're absolutely right. Nothing's changed. The health care, the strain on the healthcare system is still there. Hopefully the tide will turn as we get deeper into the health accord, the 10-year health accord, and some of the work that's been done by Pat Parfrey and co. can come to roost. But, you're absolutely right. It is as daunting a task as ever. Do you have any opinion on the fact that, there's some criticism that Layla Evans now, she will have her hands full, but also has other duties on top of that?
Yeah, well, the way I look at it right now, like she was saying this, but right now, we'll see what happens. But now, Tony, he's meeting with the nurses. He's meeting with the, he said, the nurses got the union. They're going to, between the two of them, they're going to work things out. I'm sure he will. He's going to look what's the best thing for his problems. I mean, he got a lot of good plans for his problems. And right now, they never had nobody there to be better than the one we had in there. I mean, we went from basically, you're going to a hospital now, you got to be really ill, and you got to wait now 24 hours. Some people. I remember one guy was there in an ambulance. He was taken in an ambulance. They were there for hours and hours. And finally, when they got him in the hospital, he come with a nurse, make the best of it, from Huron Peninsula. When he came in, he ended up having a surgery, had to get in right away because he had heart problems as it was. And I mean, they got like Whitburn, they closed down. And you closed the hospitals up on the Huron Peninsula. And then Stephenville lost doctors because of it. All the doctors and the clinics all closed down. Then she's on talking about the healthcare is the number one priority. They should have made that one in there. I mean, it was just really... I was in an emergency one night. I took a person in there, and there was one there. His wife was there, and she was never had a bit of life hardly left in her. I mean, she just couldn't do anything. He said, like, his daughter at that time, I think she must have been away or something. She was a doctor, and they said every second would count, but she was still there when I left. Yeah. But I mean, just unbelievable that the way the healthcare has gone downhill. And that's what gets me. I was one of the people that was all there for 10 years and made it this way, and then turn around and criticize because what they're going to do with healthcare. Like, that really hits a nerve. I know another guy who was he had his surgery canceled so often for heart surgery. He didn't think he was going to make it for the next appointment. He got so weak, and this is the kind of stuff we're running into.
Well, this is what people. This is what people go through. I mean, this is health, right? This is what happens to people. You get sick, you need hospitalization. We get sick with all kinds of illnesses. And the wait times are as bad here as they are anywhere, Tony. So I'm always wary of, just saying, of talking about just how bad it is here. We always have to realize that this is being experienced everywhere. And now there's a new government in place. Remains to be seen whether or not they can improve it better, faster, with less money than the Liberals managed to do. Because, again, there's no money to throw at it. No more than we're always spending more than 50%, almost 50% of the budget on healthcare alone. So, I'm with you. I hope they can. I hope there are changes coming. I doubt you're not going to see anything overnight because, how much they want to get into the new health authority and change anything that they're doing with all the new stuff that's coming online, with all the new training, with the core care, a large shift to virtual care, and, the continued recruitment. I mean, all those things have to continue. What makes you think they can do it better than the Liberals?
Right now, we've had people here, like we had 9 respiratory therapists graduated here. There's not one person was offered a job, and they allowed people come in from other provinces to offer them all kinds of bonuses, all kinds of, everything. And the same thing we had, I remember when Andrew Fury was saying that we were going to meet the same, we were going to pay the same people all over the country, all over Canada. We were going to pay them the same equal pay as everybody else was getting. We had 8 radiation therapists quit in 9 months because they were so overworked and they were getting $10 less an hour. We, like this is like it's me. We had another, we had doctors that was willing to come home, like you said. And when he phoned Andrew Fury, he was in the news that he had taken 40% cut in order to come home, and he wanted to go in rural areas, So I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they ran into, and I know doctors. One of my specialists there a few years back, and he told me that they went to the government and had the solution, offered them a solution how to do it, and they wouldn't even listen. So I mean, you got. they were giving the nurses now as graduates full-time hours, but they won't give them full-time jobs. So, I mean, who's going to stay here for that kind of stuff? And then you got nurses there who's working overtime, and they can ask them to work at overtime if they're full-time, and they can't turn it down. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff you got to show respect to the people, because once you get in the hospital, I mean, you're well looked after.
Sure.
We got to, as anybody.
You're 1,000% correct. The personnel on the ground, their hearts, their minds, their workload is in the best of our interests, but they can only do what they have the capacity to do with. And we all saw what happened with the time that was all of a sudden, restrictions on annual leave next year, around weddings and all that kind of stuff. That was reversed. I mean, what's done is done. The Liberal government is out. The Tory government is in. And it remains to be seen over some time. The early steps will be the biggest tell of the tale, as you said, right? Tony Wakeham, the Premier, has said he will meet with the nurses. There's a lot of meetings that went on with the Liberals as well. They were there front and center when the nurses had their big convention down at the hotel, where it was a full joint consultation. They were together. One day they were all hunky-dory. They were talking at the same podium. The next day they were back at it. So whether or not the Tories can eliminate the problems that the Liberals couldn't, remains to be seen. I don't know how they're going to do it. There's no extra money coming in. The Liberals were banking a lot on the MOU. No question about that. They were looking to next April to reduce the deficit and be able to somehow balance and get the ship righted from the deficit situation that we're in. That was clearly where they were banking. Whether or not the Tories can forgo that and still be able to keep up the level of service in this province remains to be seen. I think you would agree.
Yeah, and what gets me though is when you build something, you're supposed to build it for the future. I mean, here they are, built a Cornerbrook hospital in Cornerbrook, and was smaller than the one they had there. And the same thing with the Waterford Hospital here. They built that, and then they cut 40 rooms in it. I mean, they should have left them there instead of cutting them. This is what I don't understand, and all the money was still paid out. In that hospital, the Costco building, they paid $83 million, and then make the best of it. They never even sold it. They leased it was leased, and then you got to probably pay another $50 or $60 million to get it upgraded. So this is the kind of money was wasted.
Well, that's the past, and again, I'm sure you would. You're willing to give, obviously, the current government the opportunity. It's not going to happen overnight. We can pontificate all we want about what's going to happen, but let's see if they can right the ship. More power to them if they can. I don't have a political skin in this game whatsoever. I just want to see it better for everyone. I want to have that, expected, Canadian healthcare that we all came to know and love. That we expect to have access, and it's just not there right now. Tony, I'm right at the break. I'll give you a last comment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what you got to see now is just see one step forward, and that's what we got to look forward to now, and just hope for the best. And just wanted to mention about just a minute for that MOU.
Sure.
I mean, you asked about Michael Williams is going. Tony's going to release the letter. Which
Wilson.
Is yeah. And Michael Wilson, and I mean, she didn't want to release, and she wouldn't answer the question when you asked her why not. But I mean, to me now, for go negotiation, I can't blame Quebec going in for want the best they can, because everybody wants the same thing. But you got to have somebody out there to make sure that we're going to be looked after, and the board, and we're going to get the best, the best deal out of it, because I mean, we got the resources here.
Yeah, and the question is whether or not we'll ever be satisfied with the opinion that we get. I mean, only the smartest people are going to understand whether or not it makes sense or not, and we just have to trust them when it comes right down to it. As far as the referendum goes, that's where the rubber might not hit the road, because, unless we all understand what we're voting on, like we did with the education referendum in 1997, very simple question. It's not a simple question now, I mean, we're not all engineers, and not all of us can build a hydro dam and understand the technicals of it. So one way or another, we're going to have to rely on someone. Whether those experts are better than the Liberals will remain to be seen.
Well, we hope now when this all comes out and the investigation is done, we'll see what we were going to lose or what we were going to gain.
Yeah. Well, I'd say shag the investigations. Let's keep moving forward.
And I'd like to see that letter now when it comes out, because that's going to be interesting.
Yep, Tony, you got a costume for tonight?
No, I just going to treat the kids tonight as they come here. Then I'm going to watch the game.
There you go.
Because it's a big game tonight.
Good man. Let's hope they wrap it up tonight. Hey, we don't have to deal with tomorrow night. I got stuff on to go tomorrow night, so I don't want to have to tape it and watch it the next day. So.
Yes, I figured they should have had it Monday night.
Yeah, well,
anyway.
listen, we need, you know what? They get the Yamamoto tonight. They deserve it more than ever. They already deserve it, but if they can, it would be very fitting if the only ace pitcher they couldn't topple so far, they topple him tonight. If they do that, they're on their way.
Oh my, it's it to be all done then.
Some
Hopefully
party,
we'll
hey.
take the championship tonight.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
All right, Tony, enjoy. Thanks a lot for the call.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend. All right, Dave, off to the break. Couple calls left there to finish off the morning. We'll be right back. All right, just enough time for a couple of callers if I hit the right button. Hey, Dave. Let's go to line 2, and Andrew, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning, Andrew. Not too bad, near the witching hour at noon, but I got a few minutes left.
Yep.
What's on your mind?
Great. So I thought I would share some good news because there's a lot of bad news out there these days.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, so I've been working with people who have suicidal thoughts, which is quite challenging. And the program, it's a mindfulness training program. And so in the spring, I was able to lead this 8-week program. And I got really inspired because of how engaged people were, how interested they were, and how much they applied themselves. So a lot of it has to do, it boils down to learning the actual mindfulness practice, which is a form of meditation, and working with the mind in a particular way. And there's a big feature of this is in how we relate to our thoughts. So obviously it's very relevant for this population. And just to give you an idea, we asked a question in the beginning for them to rate the intensity of their suicidal thoughts, and then we asked them at the end, which is 8 weeks later. We had one person put a 10, which is the total maximum for the intensity in the beginning, and it went down to a 5. We had another person start with a 6, and it went down to a 1. So. And most of them did show improvement or, a lower level in that metric. There's other ones I could go over here on the phone, but just the main message, I think, is that these people were really serious about taking advantage of learning how to do this. And then after the 8 weeks was over, we had a 3-month follow-up. So 3 months later, we had one session. And I was really interested to see if they were able to hang on to the gains that they had made during the actual program. So looking at the evaluation scores, there was just a 3% regression. So it was just 3% lower 3 months later, which I'm not a researcher or anything, but it tells me that that's a pretty low amount, and that they're hanging on to what they learned in the program, and they're continuing to do the practice.
You may not be a researcher, but you know what you're talking about, Andrew. I mean, I know my good friend Sarah Hansen took a great picture of you on your page. I just noticed her photo credit there. You've been around. You've been into this since the late 60s. Going back to high school in California, I think, and you know what you're talking about. The mindfulness and awareness just cannot be overstated, can it?
Exactly. Well, obviously you are pretty informed about what we're talking about, and no, it's just something that people can learn. They can learn it fairly quickly as far as going through the mechanics and knowing what to do. The hard part is actually doing it, of course, with some consistency over time. I'll just say quickly that yesterday I had an opportunity to lead a workshop with 5 young people. I think they were all under the age of 20. And they were great. Like they were interested. They said that they found it, they felt calm, they felt relaxed, they felt, whatever, from doing this just a short period of time. And it gives me a lot of hope to see, particularly young people engaging with it.
I just wish I had more time. We could talk about this, and I would talk about it with you all day because there are a lot of issues here that I have close to my heart. And in a book that I wrote some time ago, but because it deals with those sorts of issues. But just give me what's going to go with you.
What's the book?
I didn't mean to promote it, but it's called Growing Up Next to the Mental. And it deals with suicide and mental health issues throughout, but it's a local book and it has to do with my family growing up. But just quickly, you only got a few minutes left here. Where is your next one? Like, where can people connect with you and see you?
Right. Thanks. Easiest way is to go to my website, which is Safer Mindfulness. So my last name is Safer, S-A-F-E-R, and then it's one word with mindfulness, and that has one L. safermindfulness.com, and there's all kinds of ways to connect and information there. What was the other thing I was just going to say?
And you've done it with everyone. I mean, you've held training with everything from the Canadian Mental Health Association to the Mental Health Commission of Canada, Federation of School Councils, MUN, Desjardins Financial, so organizations, corporations, Hydro, Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, all of these apply. Andrew, I wish we had more time, but we're always here. This is a topic that should be discussed every single day, and I would argue somehow every hour of the day, especially for people who just don't have that kind of thought process. I appreciate the call. Sorry to cut the show short, but I got one more. Do we have one more, Dave? Still coming?
I understand.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the phone call. It's right at the end of the show, so it kind of becomes a bit of a challenge. But once again, it's Andrew.
You so much.
No, it's okay. It's Andrew Safer Mindfulness, and that's your last name, as you said. So it really works well with the title.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, appreciate it. I've been asking everybody, do you have a costume for today?
No.
Some spouses are saying, go as yourself. It works great. So that's all I'll leave you with. Andrew, thanks for the call. By all means, next time on or follow up with Patty, but we're 1 minute to the clock, so I'll just say goodbye today. But please, keep the conversation going. I don't need to tell you how important it is.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
As well. Thanks again.
Okay.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. All right, Dave. Dave's off. Sarah Strickland is sitting behind the booth. So, Sarah, anything going on tonight?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
No games. Nah, not a lot.
Any predictions? Any prognostications?
I don't want to make any predictions. Because
I made a prediction back in May.
You did. I think about that all the time. You said they're going to go on a tear, and I remember myself and Brian Medore looking at each other like.
I said first place by July.
July 1st, you said.
And it happened on July 2nd.
It did. You were
I was one day
close.
off.
You said they were going to go on a tear, and you were right.
And they would be in the World Series. I stopped short though, only because of one thing: Yamamoto. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to topple him tonight. They've done it to every other ace. What do you think?
They had the experience with him in Game 2, so
they saw his stuff.
They've got the iPads and they've got all the technology to practice and get a look at his stuff. So like Vladdy the other night, he looked at a couple pitches and he just like kind of nodded his head, and then the next at bat, what do you know, gets a hit.
It doesn't take them long. Big shout outs to the hitting coaches and the pitching coaches.
Mm-hmm. That change in the hitting coach made a difference this year.
You got it. Okay, well, I'll be watching with bated breath tonight. Let's hope they wrap it up tonight, and we can celebrate tomorrow. That's it, folks, for the Halloween edition of Open Line. Patty's back on Monday, I hope. And only left to say, be safe, especially today on Halloween, folks. Watch out for the young trick-or-treaters. Please slow down. There is no need today. If you're going to pick one day of the year to slow down, do it today and tonight. Be safe, Arrive Alive, VOCM Cares, and go Jays.